Hey guys, it's RobJ here, and in this video I'll be showing you my 2-month update. So it's not actually 2 months since I started collecting ants and keeping them, but it's actually 2 months since I started the monthly videos on my setup and updates. I'll also be throwing in some YouTube news and updates in the end as well. So this is my current setup. A lot has changed. I've took all the lids off my Outworlds just for the purposes of this video. They don't generally sit there without their lids on. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with this colony. This is actually one of my favourite colonies. They're very new to my collection and they're doing really well. They're one of the best to actually observe. I've found just watching them eat, say like inside here now we've got a cricket and a curly-winged fly, and just watching them devour and demolish things and then tidy up after themselves. Really one of them spectator ants. Very glad to add them to my collection. Okay, so my last year's Flavius colony is doing quite well. She came with 2 workers and she's just had her 3rd worker now. I'm really glad, but they are a very shy species, so as you see I'm keeping them in this sort of single contained area until she develops a lot more workers. In the background there you can see what's left of my one of my Mesa colonies that sadly lost her queen, so I'm just looking after their workers for now. And swiftly moving on, this is my Mesa Barbarus colony, and they've just laid their first eggs since I've owned the queen, so I'm very chuffed that that's just started happening, because I've been looking at everybody else's having brood already. Okay, so now moving on to my Camponotus nicoborensis. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not sure. Now these guys are gotta be one of my favourite, if not the favourite ants I've kept. They're absolutely brilliant to watch, such individual personalities. I love it. This is their outworld. It's one of my fully grouted outworlds. As you see, there's a fresh cricket and curly-winged fly, and he's going to be swept into the nest any moment now, I know them. They've just had 3 workers and they've got a big pile of brood inside ready to go. Okay, moving on to my last year's Niger colony. On this colony the updates have changed is I've now installed the red acrylic overlay front. So that is removable, but it's more like semi-permanent. Okay, and now moving on to my fire ants. These are also one of my favourite ants to keep, and I just cannot wait until they're in much larger numbers. They're also in one of my fully grouted outworlds, and you can see a freshly killed curly-winged fly in there. There's not a lot of activity out in the outworld right now because they've been out all morning drinking and they've gone in, so there's no reason for them to come back out. But absolutely adore these ants. Okay, moving on to one of my Camponotus species. These ants are doing very well. They've recently had 4 new additions to the colony numbers. So when I got them we had something around I think 8, and the count is up to about 13, 14. It's quite hard to tell on some days because as you're doing the count they move around, they're hiding under each other, you know, it's quite hard to actually get an accurate count, but the only time that I can count how many new guys I've got is by the colouring of a fresh ant, a freshly born ant. These have got a little bit of a bad habit right now of bringing the crickets and every single food that they find into the nest. They do sort of shuffle it around, rearrange it and move it to different chambers, but I am yet to see them actually take it out, but none of them have been in there too long yet. Moving on. Okay, and here's my only ant that doesn't have any workers. She's one of my newest ants. The first day I had her, she laid her first eggs, and that's what she's raising now. One is pupating, but none are any further past that stage. Okay, and moving on to my last species of ants, another Camponotus species. Okay, and this colony is at its ups and downs. She came about 6 months ago with 2 workers. I lost a worker within the first month, and then the next worker stayed with her for about 3 months until recently passing, and then she had no workers, but in the last week to 2 weeks she's had 4 of the eggs that she's been raising enclosed. So she has 4 workers out of the past 2 weeks, and she's never had so many workers since I've had her. Everything's going well. They're leaving the test tube, feeding in the outworld, so that's great. Okay, to wrap up this video nice and neatly, just going to chuck in a little bit of YouTube channel news. Today I got my very first high-end, very good quality mic that I'm currently using now, and all my videos in future will be voice-overed with this high quality mic. Also, I have lots of plans for new videos on the horizon, and I'm always reaching out to companies local and far to see if we can't work out some deals to get you some discount codes. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this month's update, and I'll see you in the next one.